Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Fan Takeaways, where you share your thoughts post-game through my Instagram stories that I post. I should have posted it the morning of or the morning after. Stupid me, in holiday mode, I forgot to post the Fan Takeaways until much later yesterday. So it kind of affects the amount of input because while it's fresh in people's minds, people are more quick to share them. Whereas, we're nearly 2 days removed. So anyways, we still got some responses, which is good. So I thank you. And I apologize for my tardiness. But if you want to be a part of this moving forward, follow pies_footy on Instagram. And when you see the story go up after the game, you can share your thoughts there. And then we discuss it here, whether they're good, bad, or ugly. We do not pull any punches here. So I'm just going to read out all of them. And some of them will require a response, and then some will just be more of a acknowledgement for contributing. So Bailey Gerdov says, "We are bloody good." Shades of 2011 and 2010. I'm feeling that. I said that against Richmond in the preseason game. Something feels different, and maybe it's the experience. Too old, too slow, blah, 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 so on and so forth. We're doing it differently. And that's the beauty of it. Like, we're not just conforming to the common norm. We're doing it our way. Frank Sinatra type of thing. Still, Sidebottom plays like he's 22. He's never been slow. The only thing that was stopped slowing him down last season was his disposal inefficiencies. And I guess he was and has always been known for a clean play at ground ball level. Last year, he wasn't that. He's rectified all of them, and he's fully vindicated, and he'll get probably more than a handful of Brownlow votes come season's end. Matt Lee says Quaynor is the best role player on the team. Yeah, someone said he's a bit like an Alan Tuvey. Doesn't damage the stat sheet a whole lot, but he does what he needs to do. He just gets the job done. He says, "Yes, Fly, I'm your man. You want me to compete at ground level? Fine. You want me to lock down their best small forward, no dramas." And when we're dominating so much, Brisbane had a minute amount of inside 50s against us on Thursday night. They really couldn't get into their forward half. We'd completely locked them into their own defensive half, and just makes it so much easier for players like Quaynor and Frampton and Darcy Moore and the whole defensive unit to defend cohesively as a team when we're winning forward of centre. So, yeah, we sort of fell in love with the whole Isaac Quaynor. Can he average 15, 20 touches a game, 2-3 intercept marks per game after that year he had in 2023 where he was on the All-Australian extended squad? Was it the final, the list of 40? And I think we just fell in love with that sort of narrative and fairy tale that Isaac Quaynor will just flourish into this Dan Houston type almost. But he probably isn't suited to that, and we don't need him to be that anymore because we have Dan Houston, because we have Josh Dacos. We don't need the offensive prowess to be developed in Quaynor's game. He probably has a place on the wing in the future if he wants, but right now his most important position for us is in the back line. Button Ramish says, "I think you're only as good as your bottom six players, and I think ours are as good as we have had." Let's have a look at who our bottom six players were on the weekend, and we can extend the conversation from there. So I suppose Billy Frampton is in your bottom six, and he's playing very well. Who else? I'm looking at, everyone's just so good. Hoskin Elliott's probably in our bottom six, and he's just ever so reliable. You can't underestimate his value and versatility. Like Ned Long is supposed to be in our bottom 6 in our starting 23. He was one of the best players against Brisbane. Following that up, the week prior with the performance against Sydney. I'm looking at the performances from the weekend, and I'm not seeing many bottom 6 players. Maybe Mason Cox is there as well. Ed Allen. So, yeah, is it a bottom 6, or are we just that even across the board that I don't even know if you'd be very, if you're named in the bottom 6, like, are you saying Lipinski is in the bottom 6? Like, that is a player who goes to another club and probably has a real prominent role and wouldn't be anywhere near the bottom 6. But because they're at a club like Collingwood right now, where everyone's just thriving and playing their role, it's hard to sort of identify who your bottom 6 is. So, what's next? Let's see. Cruz McLeavy says a lock. What did he say? Lock Nick Dacos in for the Brownlow. I reckon our old lads. Well, certainly Nick Dacos on Thursday night got the 3 votes, 38 touches, goal, just 12 scoring involvements, took the piss, right? There's not many other players taking votes off him, to be fair, in our team. The only players that might steal a couple here and there would be Steele Sidebottom and Scott Pendlebury. At the end of the day, I really think the Brownlow is it's just the midfielder's medal, and it's adjudicated by a team of people who their first priority and their highest priority in the game is to adjudicate the decisions that revolve around the rules of the game, and they shouldn't have the responsibility bestowed upon them to also identify who they thought their best player was. Of course, if they're sniffing Paddy Cripps's butt in every bloody contest and watching to see if his jumper's getting pulled, they're gonna have an inkling to give him the votes. It's just the way it is. And Nick Dacos is the same. He'll get his votes. It's just an overrated medal. I don't rate it. A Cara Giovanni says, first of all, Christos Anesti, Alithos Anesti, and secondly, flag pies. My man. DO4_Priv says, was a chef's kiss of a game. Nothing to report. Really, the boys played super well. No news is good news. That's what I like to hear. And I want to throw another fan takeaway in from myself. And I'm going to say, I think fit to perform is a fallacy. Now, Fly's mantra, let me explain myself. So Fly's mantra in all his press game or pre-game conferences and post-game conferences has been this cliche phrase being, last year we had players who were fit to play and not necessarily fit to perform. If you're not fit to perform, you will not play this year. I agree with that to an extent, but I think the logic is it's unreasonable. The logic behind it. Think about it. Jordan De Goey. Let's take Jordan De Goey for an example on the weekend. He looked off the mark. Let's be honest, right? He got his goals, but fitness-wise and his ability to pressure and how we looked at ground level, it didn't look great, especially in the first half. Like, let's be brutally honest, right? But Jordan De Goey doesn't get over that hump without playing AFL footy. You can't have him just sitting on the sidelines doing shuttle runs for weeks on end and building up your conditioning there. It's not going to emulate what happens on the field in a game. Players from opening round to round 3 or 4, that's their opportunity to go from fit to play to fit to perform, right? That's their sort of period where they're exempt from that sort of ruling. But when you're someone like De Goey who missed the early rounds of the season, you're chasing tail, and you cannot make that up by just waiting on the sidelines and just hoping you're going to be like the running and the fitness stuff you do outside of the game is going to get you to where you need to be. No, it's never been like that. So I'm sure Fly isn't married to the mantra fit to play, fit to perform, and doesn't take it literally. It's probably a guideline, and there are exceptions to the rule, and I think Jordan De Goey is an exception to the rule. When you're coming back from ongoing hip and groin issues, and you lack that match hardness, the only way to get that match hardness is not even through the VFL, to be fair. It's got to be at AFL level. So it's a risky one, and that's why it's so hard for players to come back in season from long-standing injuries. And sometimes they don't get right all year, and it just never works out. But it's the risk you have to take, and it's a risk we need to take with Jordan De Goey, because he does what he does in final series. He's the guy. He's the guy. Home and away season, just get him through. Get him through. Get the fitness he needs to be right for the final series. That's the way I'm looking at it. Nick Dacos, Scott Pendlebury, Ned Long, those lads, they'll carry us to the final series, and then that's when Geordie comes to play. I think that's it. Like I said, if you want to join this and be a part of it, follow pies_footy on Instagram. I also am now sharing some of the live streams on Spotify, so the link will be in the description there. And if you've made it this far into the video, let's get that sub count and keep that growing. We're at 3618. Let's keep that going. And I appreciate all your support, guys. Go Pies.